I was still holding the warm pumpkin pie when my dad told me not to come home again. It was Mom's favorite. I baked it the night before using her old recipe, the one with extra nutmeg and a tiny bit of maple syrup, just how she liked it. I had driven 3 hours through thick fog to bring it to her, like I did every Thanksgiving. I thought I was home. I thought everything was okay. We hadn't even said the Thanksgiving prayer yet. The turkey wasn't carved. The stuffing was hot in that crystal dish Mom only used once a year. I was still smiling, still holding the pie, when Dad looked at me and said, "Give back the $50,000, Rachel, or don't come back." At first, I thought I heard him wrong. Maybe it was a joke, but no one laughed. Lisa sat quietly across from me, hands folded like she was at a funeral. David stared at the tablecloth. And even Mom, kind and gentle Mom, couldn't look me in the eyes. I didn't sit down. I couldn't. The pie suddenly felt too heavy. I looked at it like maybe it could explain what was going on. "Excuse me?" I said. Dad's face tightened. "Don't make this harder than it needs to be," he said. "What are you accusing me of?" I asked. Lisa finally looked up. Her eyes were red and her mascara was smudged, but her voice was clear. "Mom's account. $50,000 went missing last month, right after you helped her set up online banking." Opened my mouth, but I couldn't speak. It was true. I had helped Mom. She was nervous about online banking and didn't trust the cloud. So I sat with her one Sunday, helped her log in, answered security questions, and wrote everything down. In a little notebook we kept in the kitchen drawer. That was 4 weeks ago, and now they were saying that was when I stole from her? "Are you serious?" I whispered. "You think I took Mom's money?" David finally spoke. His voice was stiff, like it hurt to say the words. "We didn't. Want to believe it. But the bank confirmed the money was taken online. No one else had access. Except me." I looked at Mom. She didn't nod. She didn't shake her head. She just pressed a napkin to her mouth like she was going to be sick. That's when it hit me. The pie, the drive, the tradition, none of it mattered. I wasn't their daughter anymore. I was a suspect. I gently set the pie on the counter. The metal tray made a soft clink on the stone. I grabbed my coat from the back of the chair. I didn't say a word. Behind me, Dad said quietly, "You have until the end of the week. Then we go to the lawyer." I didn't cry in the car. I didn't yell or slam the wheel like in the movies. I just drove. My coat was still half-buttoned. The pie was still sitting in their kitchen. Outside, the streets were calm. Porch lights were on. Paper turkeys were taped to windows. It was Thanksgiving night. Everything smelled like cinnamon and peace, except me. I checked into a small roadside motel I always passed when coming into town. I had never stayed there before. The clerk didn't ask why I needed a room on a holiday. I was grateful for that. The room smelled like old carpet and microwave popcorn. I kicked off my boots and sat on the bed, hands still shaking. I was 34. Years old, a senior forensic accountant trusted with millions of dollars, and my own parents thought I stole from them. The worst part was, I wasn't even surprised. There had been signs. Lisa would roll her eyes when Mom bragged about my job. Dad once said, "Don't you think it's time to settle down? Like my work didn't matter." Last Christmas, when I offered to pay for a new roof, David said I was trying to buy their love. I thought they were just teasing. I thought we were still family. I lay on the bed and stared at the ceiling. I tried to remember everything about the day I helped Mom with her account. Every login, every tap, every step. Could someone else have seen the notebook in the drawer? It wasn't locked. Lisa still lived at home sometimes. David had a key. Yes, I helped Mom, but I wasn't the only one who could have accessed it. Still, they believed I did it. They thought I waited for Mom to get sick so I could take her money. $50,000. As if I needed it. As if I ever would. My phone buzzed. It was a text from Lisa. "We didn't want it to come to this, but you made it hard to trust you. No, happy Thanksgiving. No, are you okay? Just blame. Like I was the one who broke everything." I turned my phone face down. At work, I catch people who hide money and blame others. And now, someone had made me the one to blame. I stared at the ceiling until the motel lights blurred. If they wanted to treat me like the criminal in the family, maybe it was time I started acting like the investigator I actually was. The next morning, I didn't need an alarm. My instincts woke me up. Years of chasing down corporate fraud had taught me one. Truth, money doesn't vanish. It just moves. The key is figuring out where it goes and who benefits. I poured a bitter cup of lobby coffee and set up my laptop on the flimsy motel desk. My firm had been investigating a series of elder financial abuse cases lately. In each, 1. Retirees with modest savings saw their accounts drained in 3 withdrawals, each just below the federal reporting threshold. Different clients, different towns, but one bank kept popping up again and again. Greenwell Mutual, Mom's bank. I never told my family I was working on that case. It was confidential, but I had clearance to review the data, and I knew exactly who to message. I sent a quick note to Theo, our compliance officer. Just a name, a date range, and a location. Within the hour, he sent back what I needed: teller logs, timestamps, withdrawal amounts. 3 withdrawals from Mom's account, spaced 5 days apart. First, $20,000, then $15,000, then another $15,000. But what caught my attention immediately? Every withdrawal was done in person, not online. That was the first crack in their story. They said I had taken the money using online banking. That, only I had access. But if the money was withdrawn at a branch, it couldn't have been me. I opened the attached video link. The security footage was low resolution, but clear enough. The first video loaded: Greenwell Mutual, October 10th, 2:13 p.m. A young woman approached the teller, glancing nervously behind her. Blonde ponytail, gray hoodie, oversized sunglasses. At first, I assumed it was a stranger, a hired proxy. But then she stepped forward and lowered her mask to speak. Lisa. Even in the grainy footage, I recognized her instantly. I had babysat that face, tucked it in at night, watched it cry over breakups and blow out birthday candles. She was fidgeting as she spoke, tapping her fingers on the counter. She handed over what looked like Mom's ID and signed something. That handwriting. I'd know it anywhere. Still the same loopy cursive she used in high school. I leaned back in my motel chair, staring at the screen while the light above flickered. They hadn't just taken the money. They had planned it. They waited for me to help Mom set up online access, then used that as a perfect cover. I opened the second video. October 15th. Same branch. This time, it was David. No disguise, no hesitation. He was calm, confident, even joked with the teller. He acted like he owned the account. The third video showed Lisa again. Same hoodie, different sunglasses. Their arrogance made my skin crawl, but I still needed to know. How did they get access to Mom's ID and information? Then I remembered something. 2 weeks before I helped Mom with the app, she had a series of outpatient scans at the hospital. Lisa had volunteered to stay with her overnight. Mom's purse had been there the entire time. Her checkbook, her bank statements, her driver's license, all within reach. That's where it started. But it didn't stop there. I checked the metadata from the account setup. The first login after I left town didn't come from Mom's phone. It came from a tablet on the home Wi-Fi. Same IP address Lisa used when she streamed Netflix. The one-time password, OTP, was sent to a backup email I hadn't registered. I traced it. The recovery number? David's. They weren't just sloppy. They were smug. They figured no one would question it if the successful daughter was the obvious scapegoat, especially if the rest of the family closed ranks around the lie. I closed the laptop. This wasn't just a misunderstanding. It wasn't a desperate moment or a loan gone. Wrong. This was fraud. Cold, calculated fraud. And they used my relationship with Mom as the perfect cover. I zipped my laptop bag and picked up the phone. I didn't call the police. Not yet. I called my office, asked Theo for one more thing. Teller signature printouts. I'd need those for comparison. Then I pulled out a slim black folder from my suitcase, the kind I used in court when presenting evidence. If they wanted a villain in the family, I'd show them what it looked like when the villain kept receipts. I didn't warn them I was coming. I drove back on Monday afternoon, just as the sunlight started to slant gold across the streets. That soft autumn light that used to make the house feel warm and familiar. But not today. The driveway was packed. David's SUV, Lisa's compact car, Mom's old sedan. No guests, just family. I parked at the curb and sat in silence for a moment. The engine clicked softly as it cooled, my hands resting on the leather folder in my lap. Inside were the receipts. The Timestamps, the videos, the signatures. Every lie they thought no one would catch. Then I stepped out, walked up the porch steps, and let myself in. The house smelled like chicken broth and rosemary. The kitchen lights glowed warmly. I could hear voices, silverware clinking, and laughter echoing down the hallway. But none of that belonged to me anymore. I found them all in the kitchen. Lisa was sitting on the counter like she used to when we were kids, coffee mug in hand, legs swinging. David stood against the fridge, arms folded, face unreadable. Mom was at the sink, drying dishes slowly, and Dad stirred something on the stove. They all looked up when I walked in. No one spoke. I walked past them and placed a folder on the wooden island, the same one we used to roll cookie dough on. Then I opened it. "You believed I stole from Mom?" I said quietly. "Let me show you what really happened." The air shifted. Tense, like before a storm. I pulled out the first photo, a still from the bank's security camera. Lisa in sunglasses, signing a form at the teller's desk. October 10th, $20,000. Not online, not me. No one moved. Lisa didn't even flinch. I laid down the second photo. David, smiling in a navy sweater, handing over a check. October 15th, $15,000. My voice shook, not with anger, but with restraint. These were my people, my family. Lisa gripped her mug tighter. She opened her mouth, then shut it again. I laid out the teller slips. Same branch, same handwriting. "I matched them to your note on the fridge, Lisa," I said. A beat passed. Then she finally spoke, her voice thinner than I remembered. "You went through our stuff." I tilted my head. "You went through Mom's." Mom reached for the papers, her hands trembling as she read. "But the bank said it was done online," she whispered. "That's what they thought I said," I replied. "But the actual withdrawal wasn't online. That came later, from a tablet using your Wi-Fi. The account recovery email was tied to David's number." The kitchen fell silent, like snowfall. Dad stopped stirring. Lisa looked away. David stared at the floor like he was trying to find a different truth there. "You let me think my daughter stole from me," Mom said, not looking at anyone in particular. "Not even me." "You told me not to come home," I said, voice low, "and you never even asked if I did it." That's what hurt the most. Not the accusation, not the lawyers. The silence. Lisa looked at me, face twisted, not with guilt, but resentment. "You always get everything," she said. "The job, the praise, the respect. I just wanted to level the field." I stared at her for a long moment. Maybe I was finally seeing her clearly. "You didn't level anything," I said. "You burned it." David cleared his throat. "She'll be fine, Mom. Rachel makes more than all of us combined. It wasn't personal." I took a slow breath. It's always personal when it's family. Mom sat down at the table, the folder still open in front of her. Her hands rested in her lap, palms up, like she didn't know what to do with them. Dad finally looked at me. "Rachel, what are you going to do?" I met his eyes, feeling, finally, like I wasn't the child in the room. "I'm not pressing charges," I said, "but I've sent everything to the family attorney. You can decide what to do with it." He gave a small, tired nod. I zipped. The folder shut. The motion came naturally. Muscle memory from years of meetings and investigations. But this time, it felt like closure. "You told me not to come back unless I returned the money," I said. "I didn't take the money, but I brought the truth." I let that settle. Then I turned to leave. "Rachel," Mom called, her voice cracking. I paused at the doorway. "Thanksgiving's over," I said. "You all made sure of that." Left the house without another word. Didn't take the folder, didn't take the pie. Just my keys. And whatever part of me still believed they would have stood by me. I didn't drive off right away. I sat in the car outside, watching the kitchen window from the curb. No one came after me. The lights stayed on. Lisa didn't. Laugh again. David didn't open the door. No one ran down the driveway to say they were sorry. That silence told me everything I needed to know. Back in Boston, the city felt colder and sharper. I returned to work like nothing had happened. But something inside me had changed. I stopped calling on Sunday nights, ignored the family group chat, and left my voicemail icon blinking for 3 days before I finally listened to it. It was Mom. Rachel, we were wrong. I know that now. I didn't want to believe it. I'm sorry. I don't expect you to forgive us. I just wanted you to know. The house feels empty. She hung up before the minute was up. 2 weeks later, a letter came. Real envelope. Real handwriting. Inside was a photo. Me, Lisa, and David on the back porch in Halloween costumes. I was the scarecrow. Lisa had foil wings. David was just covered in red paint. On the back was a single sentence. We didn't know how much we'd miss you until you were gone. No signature. David never reached out. Lisa didn't either. But a cousin told me they both moved out. Mom stopped speaking to them, said she needed space. I didn't ask what that meant. I didn't offer to return. Instead, I started something new, a weekend seminar at the local college. Financial protection for older adults. It wasn't glamorous, but it gave me purpose. After one class, an older woman came up and said, "I wish I had a daughter like you." I smiled politely. Didn't say what I was thinking. So did mine. December passed without a tree, without a call, without the ornament exchange I used to plan. There's a kind of grief no one talks about, the kind that comes not from death, but from realizing the people you love believed the worst version of you and never asked if it was true. And once they made that choice, they couldn't undo it. I still have the folder. Not on my desk, not even in my office. Just tucked away in a drawer under old tax files and mortgage papers. I haven't opened it. Since that night, I don't need to. The facts haven't changed, and neither have I.